The first, I'm telling you, I'm going to read 3 poems, and 2 of them changed radically since yesterday from what they were going to be. So when Bob talked about thinking, oh, what was I planning to read? And the other poem, the first poem I'm going to start with, I wrote in 1996. After looking at the photograph on the front page of the paper, and Charlottesville happened, and I remembered this poem, because I feel like we are reaping a long-developing harvest in our nation of untended hatred. Untended, uncontrolled, unconfined, and many bitter hearts unnourished who can continue to hate. And another thing I want to say about this poem is I wrote it because I am in awe of people who, in the midst of great controversy and polarization, put themselves into the gap. You understand what I'm saying? And I am a reader of Torah, which you'll find out in another poem. So Aaron took his incense pan and went into the gap between God's plague and the people. He went into the gap and ended the plague. And I don't know, Paul.
Would you just sit on the floor and wait for it to catch up?
So to me, those people who have that courage not to be defined by whoever anybody thinks you are the saints and heroes. So this poem is called Giving Birth, Front Page Photo, Ku Klux Klan Rally, Ann Arbor, Michigan, 6/24/96. And I hope you see the photo after I have finished. To stop the savage blows, she has thrown her young brown-skinned life like a billowing banner over his. The Confederate flag inks his tender white forearm, a skull vomiting flame tattoos the other. His thick pale arms, useless wings, are folded beneath her. Just visible, the leather wristband, silver belt buckle, the fluorescent eagle on his black motorcycle vest, grasping in its claws 3 colored flames. He's balding, beefy, fallen. His placard's broken, the slogan hidden beneath him. One empty hand lies palm up against the pavement. The other, anchored against his bare chest beneath her knee, clutches the hilt of a knife, the grip of a club. The ruined placard's handle. He is assaulted. She surrounds him. She wraps her large, soft body, her clean white blouse, the fine dark shine of her cheeks, her wide crying mouth, her forehead's wrinkled agony around him. He doesn't know her, but he hates her. She's taking the blows intended for him as she gazes up at the marchers who reward his hatred with their own. They want to smash him against the road. They want to kick him in the head. They want to break his ribs. They are beating him with sticks. One of her dark brown hands is braced against the pavement. The other, lifted above his head, holds off their threatening boots. What does he hear? The shouted anger all around them? The dull thud of their sticks on her back? The beating of her heart? Her long, low wailing? And that look on her face? Is it fear? Joy? Defiance? I didn't ask for this? Her ample thigh shields his ribs. As hunched and curled, he enters this astonishing world from between her legs. How can we understand this? Okay, now to Torah and to Guantanamo Bay. Because for 4 years, last June, I have been fasting 1 day a week after Elliot Adams, some of you know him, began a long fast to protest what was happening at Guantanamo Bay to the detainees and to support those who were on hunger strike. So I've been fasting 1 day a week since then, because I started doing it while he was fasting, saying, don't starve yourself to death, we need you. And I didn't stop. And I researched Guantanamo Bay, and I'm always reading stuff about all of the issues, legal and otherwise, about it, and the history, and then I'm always writing updates and calling 8 or 9 different departments of government and my elected reps to say, do the right thing on whatever is locally happening. Okay. So I also read Torah every week. I study it. I also read poetry and Torah commentary, and I find I can't read the stuff about Guantanamo Bay except while I'm doing Torah reading and prayer stuff and reading poetry. Otherwise, I can't stand it. So that's why these things are together in this poem, okay? And a little vocabulary. There's going to be something about one detainee that I got from a book called The Guantanamo Lawyers, Inside a Prison Outside the Law, written by all the lawyers, noble lawyers who have been defending detainees for the last 15, 16 years. And this book was published in 2009. And there's a Hebrew word, teshuvah. We're in the month of Elul, before the High Holy Days. This is the month of teshuvah, of turning back to the holy presence, of evaluating your soul, of doing what, sometimes it's translated repentance, but it's much more than repentance. It's clearing your being so you can be present with the one, okay? Okay. So, and this poem is called All at Once. One more thing about being at Sinai. The Jews at Sinai got the message from the Lord, the 10 Commandments. The rabbis say, the rabbis have been analyzing this and commentating and making more and more stories ever since, and we're still doing it. And they say we were all there. Everyone was there who is now alive. We all got that message. We are continuously getting it. So open the airwaves, you can get it. And all of Torah that you are reading ever is all happening at the same time. So I start with a quote from Leviticus 24:9. You shall proclaim with the shofar blasts in the 7th month, on the 10th of the month, on the Day of Atonement, you shall sound the shofar throughout your land. Torah says it, as do some of the most way out there cosmologists. Everything's happening all at once, including every kindness. Her hand pressed against the top of my head, my mother, recalled each time I don my kippah so I can pray or study Torah and read the holy legal texts, including every God-commanded cruelty, which reminds me of Aziz, whose legs are shackled to the floor in the room where he meets his lawyer, but he can pull the stump of his right leg from the locked-down prosthesis to show her how worn the stump sock has become. The Gitmo guards will not replace it. Which I read right after the Torah commentaries on the shofar and teshuvah this sunny morning misty with the promise of rain, and the dream of infinite love I cradle along with my fury, and this command in the ancient text to shout loudly, to sound the shofar, root of my faith that helps me endure. I lift all this up, the confusion, the howling pain, the dreaming, the love, and I shout and shout aloud. Okay, and then because knew I was going to talk, I can't not talk about the hard stuff now in this time, because I feel like we all need to be doing something, one thing every week at least, to let somebody know what's not right and what needs to be fixed, and that we will stand in resistance to the wrongs we perceive. So I decided to let you down a little bit gently. I don't know if it's gentle enough, though. This is called random notes, because I don't know if you've got messy desks, but I write all kinds of random notes to myself on little pieces of paper and Post-it notes, and then every so often it builds up, and I got to do something about it because I know I've lost stuff in there. So this is called random notes, and it's filled with random stuff. Random note under other random notes to self, pulled from desktop clutter. Do not enslave yourself to free others. Helps me embrace this day, along with the musings of Kohelet, the gatherer, from Jazz Ecclesiastes, offered up by Jerry Stern, to which I add, take root truth from the river mud, the coal fire smoke, sending black chimney dust to Chicago's windowsills. I was a girl then, not yet 20, newly married. It didn't last. It is eternal. My son and grandchildren, the living signs. The axis of this planet's tilted. My dad, a cheerful man, one leg shorter than the other, walked a lifelong tilt, spoke easy truths, asked every blushing niece and nephew, every grandchildren, how's your love life? Fervent atheist, no God beyond the facts of science. He had the deepest faith. No matter what comes at you, the only way to make it through is love.